The session is yours.
Thank you, Vaishali ji. Hello. It's on. Yeah. So as Vaishali ji said, today is a very, very auspicious day when Mother first came. And we all know that her meeting with Sri Aurobindo changed the destiny of the earth, of humanity. So I'm full of gratitude to the Mother that I'm here at the center today. So before I begin my talk, I will start with Sri Aurobindo's Gayatri Mantra. Om Tatsavitur Varam Rupam Jyotihi Parasya Dhimahi Yannah Satyena Dhimaye Yannah Satyena Dhimaye Om. The topic for today that I have chosen is on the prayers of the Mother. We all are familiar with Mother's book, Prayers and Meditations, and we all have read them. So today I'm going to select some prayers which, from a psychological point of view, highlights the importance of our journey towards the divine. So these prayers are very, very helpful in taking us beyond from our earthly nature to the higher planes of truth, light, love, delight. And so I would say that we all pray, everyone prays. Those who are not, turn to Mother and Sri Aurobindo, also pray. And we have wonderful prayers from the Vedas, Upanishads also. So what is so different about the Mother's prayer that today I'm going to highlight? So I will start by saying that there are two kinds of people. Those who pray for themselves, their family, for their success, for material wealth, for health. That is not wrong. The Mother, the Divine Mother and the Lord, they are there. They are our guardians. They are our protectors. So we will ask them for everything. And they will grant us all that we need and also what we should get. Whether we ask of it or not, the divine grants us. So the Mother's prayer, especially, is for aspirants of the spiritual path. Basically, the Mother's prayer asks us to focus within ourselves. And these prayers help us to grow in consciousness. By growth in consciousness, I mean growth towards truth, love, oneness, compassion, and wideness. So the more we grow towards the truth, we understand where are the darkness, where is our understanding lacking, our effort is lacking, and how we can feel the inner oneness with every human being and also every creature. As we know, basically, the divine resides in all of us. And the prayer in integral yoga is for transformation. We are here to change. We are divine potentially, but are not yet governed by the divine truth. We are governed by our earthly nature, and this earthly nature has certain obstacles. Our main obstacle is our outward self, the ego. It veils the light. It puts a sort of a curtain between the truth and the light. It puts a curtain between the inner strength and the outer weakness. So the obstacles are ego, from which begins ignorance, and the most important, about ourselves. We do not know ourselves. We move about as people who are weak, suffering, and we don't feel the richness of the inner consciousness. And also, Mother says that all of us are born with a special mission on earth. Everyone is unique and have some unique work to do in this earthly life. But we do not know that. What is our mission? What do I have to do? And because it is not anything outward, like I have to become a musician, or I have to become a doctor, or engineer, or lawyer. It's not that. Whatever qualities that you are born with, whatever is your nature, your swabhava, well, you will become that person, whether you be a teacher, or a lawyer, or a painter, or an architect, or a sculptor. But that outward aspect is a means, not the goal. So if somebody asks, what do you want to become? Normally we answer with, I want to become an engineer, or I want to become this, that. But we are not yet aware of that inner mission where we say that I want to become a very kind and compassionate person. I want to become a person who always sheds delight, cheer, happiness. I want to become the person who is always contented with everything that I get. I want to become a person who can spread love, be generous, not calculated, not wanting for myself. I will be sharing my life with people. Just spread joy. And every day the flowers show us what they do, the flowers. They only give. They only give. And whenever we see a flower, we touch the flower and we smell the flower, we feel so different because selflessly the flowers give. And the flower receives all that it gives from Mother Nature. The sunlight gives, the soil gives, the environment gives. So if for a second we pause and think that I too can be a flower, I will also be nourished in a natural way by all the different opportunities that I'm getting in my life. And I can also give. And somewhere the Mother has written that the more you give, the more you get. It's so simple. Because then the flow of life is very smooth. And we can learn also from the river. You pass by any river, you dip into it. The river is also giving, always giving. The sun is always giving. So also those who have realized the truth within. We know about the saints. We know about the higher beings, the yogis. What do they do? When you are in their presence, you feel so much peaceful, so much lighter. There's such a joy around them because they are also in touch with that inner truth, and that reflects, that spreads. So now I will take the first prayer of 1st March 1914, which gives us an indication from where to begin. So I will read, not always the full prayer, but the certain lines that I would like to emphasize on. Mother begins by saying, it is in one's own self that all the obstacles lie. It is in one's own self that all the difficulties are found. It is in one's own self that there is all the darkness and ignorance. Were we to travel throughout the earth, were we to go and bury ourselves in some solitude, break with all our habits, lead the most ascetic life, yet if some bond of illusion held back our consciousness far from thy absolute consciousness, if some egoistic attachment cut us from the integral communion with thy divine love, we would be no nearer thee despite all outer circumstances. Can any circumstances be considered more or less favorable? I doubt it. It is the idea we have about them which enables us to profit much or little by the lessons they give us. I'll pause a little bit over here, then I'll go to the last lines. These lines are very clear, which says that whenever we have any difficulty, we should look within ourselves. Whenever we feel that we are not progressing, we should look within ourselves. And when we say that this circumstances was favorable, or this place was favorable, or this surrounding, these people, they were favorable, she says that depends on the idea that we attach to these circumstances, not the circumstances themselves. If we think they are favorable, they will be favorable. And we have seen many people who make every situation favorable. It is in ourselves, it is in our power to make any situation favorable. If we are stuck in traffic, we can either grumble or peacefully use those moments to be more peaceful. Or if we have any outer difficulty, whether financial or health-wise or anything, then also we can reflect that, yes, what I can profit. And Mother has written that one can progress in any situation, one or the other progress. This is integral yoga. So the progress that you may make in any situation depends on which part of your being needs the progress. Maybe sometimes the physical needs the endurance. Sometimes the vital has to be quietened. Sometimes the mind has to see the light of truth. So it could be anything. So when you pause and think that, okay, this is a situation apparently difficult and not favorable, which part of my being can make progress over here? And we will get the answer. And so the last lines says, O Lord, I implore thee, grant that I may be perfectly conscious and master of all that constitutes this personality, so that I may be delivered from myself, and thou alone mayest live and act through these multiple elements. To live in love, by love, for love, indissolubly united to the highest manifestation. Always more light, more beauty, more truth. Now, the line that is very important in this prayer is the one that says that grant that I may be perfectly conscious and master. There are two steps over here. first we have to be conscious of who we are at every level. Who am I as a mental being? What is the chief characteristics of my mind? Is the mind too critical, too analytical? Is my mind too narrow? Or am I having lots of desires and cravings? Or am I lazy, full of tamas at the physical level? So first we have to be conscious of our mind, our vital, our body, and then master all that constitutes this personality. Now, we know that when we buy a mobile or we purchase a car, there are so many features, and we read the manual and we try to understand the features so that we can use our device very well. We can drive our car very well if we know all the features. But sadly, our education does not teach us about ourselves. In volume 12 of the Mother's Collected Works, there's so many beautiful chapters on the science of living, which, if introduced to children from a very young age, they will understand what are their thoughts, what are their sensations, what are their emotions, what are their desires, what are their physical strength, and how they can make themselves better and better. So this is the first prayer from the psychological point of view that helps us to understand ourselves and to reflect on ourselves whenever we have any difficulty. And rather than pointing out outward, we can reflect inwardly. So continuing with the same theme, I'm taking the next prayer of 12th February, 1914. February 12, 1914. When, conscious with that supreme consciousness, one considers all earthly circumstances, one sees their complete relativity and says, to do this thing or that, after all, that is not of much importance. Yet, a particular mode of action will be the best utilization of a certain faculty, a certain temperament. All actions, whatever they may be, even the most contradictory in appearance, can be an expression of thy law to the extent that they are infused with the consciousness of that law, which is not a law of practical application that can be translated into principles or rules in the ordinary human consciousness, but a law of attitude, of a constant and prevailing consciousness, something that cannot be expressed in formulas, but may be lived. Okay, so I pause over here. Let us understand this. So from the point of view of the Supreme Consciousness, the mother says that we can see the relativity of circumstances or actions. And one can see that it is not of importance to do this or that. Just a crude example, to become a teacher or become a lawyer. Basically, particularly that itself is not of importance. But she says what is important is that which action will utilize your inner nature, your swabhava. So you can do that best. That, okay, I can use my faculty, my potential in the best way as a teacher. So I will do that. I can do that best way as a painter. I will do that. But from the point of the supreme consciousness, any outward action is relative. It does not depend. So she says, even if it is contradictory, it looks apparently contradictory. But what is important is, in the ordinary human consciousness, a law of attitude. You see, for the yogi, for the realized person, nothing is important and everything is important. Whatever they do, certain laws of ordinary human consciousness doesn't apply to them because they've transcended that level. But people who are still in the ordinary consciousness, here that distinction Mother is making, must follow a certain law of attitude, a constant and prevailing consciousness. Now, again, Mother says that it cannot be expressed in formulas, in words. So what is that consciousness and what is that attitude that we must have when we reflect, when we pray, when we make an effort to know, we will know. In the synthesis of yoga, in the chapter of concentration, Sri Aurobindo says that whatsoever you want to learn, whatsoever you want to know, just concentrate on that. And concentration will help you to understand the thing in itself, what it contains. It will reveal its nature, it will reveal its properties. And all the ancient knowledge was recorded in this manner. We know Ayurveda. Dhanvantari sat in front of the plant and concentrated. His consciousness and the consciousness of the plant became one. And the plants revealed its properties. Similarly, all the other things, they used this method. They did not have an outside laboratory to test everything. So, to understand what is consciousness and to understand how to be in that consciousness have only to be lived. But at our level, we understand certain feelings, certain emotions. We know what is peace, what is love, what is joy, what is delight. So these are our beginnings to understand the consciousness of the divine, which is much more deeper and higher. But Mother has given so many indications that when you feel totally in peace and harmony, when you are full of gratitude and love and delight, know that you are having the right consciousness and the right attitude to do anything. So that is our indication. And I will, I will skip few lines. In the second paragraph, the last line. It is then that the rules of conduct, having as their foundation perfect personal disinterestedness, should find their full value. This line is very important. Now here, Mother says that if we do anything without our personal involvement, we do not get involved, but we have an attitude of disinterestedness. Now here, disinterestedness does not mean being negative, that I'm not interested in helping this one, not interested in earning money, not interested in doing this, not that way. Over here, perfect personal disinterestedness also means a kind of detachment. Detachment of the ego attachment, of the ego's involvement. And doing only for the divine, only for the Mother. If you do everything for the Mother, for the divine, then that will be the right way of doing any work, rather than doing for one's own name, fame, money, attention. So she says, do everything, but remove this personal factor. And this as a foundation will help you to go forward. Okay, now let's read next prayer, 27th February 1914. I've taken prayers with similar theme that I wanted to share with you all today. February 27, 1914. O Lord, I sense the infinite happiness, which is the portion of those whose life is entirely consecrated to Thee. And this does not depend upon outer circumstances, but on one's own state of being and its greater or lesser degree of illumination. I'll pause here. Let us understand. Mother says that she has seen, she has sensed, rather she says, I sense that those whose life is entirely consecrated, they have infinite happiness. They are absolutely happy because they are totally consecrated. And for those who are entirely consecrated, outer circumstances did not matter much. Only their own state of being mattered. And its greater or lesser degree of illumination. You see, it does not depend upon outer circumstances, but one's own state of being and its greater or lesser degree of illumination. Illumination means understanding, knowing the truth. As much as you are in touch with the truth, as much as you are enlightened, you will be doing that work in a perfect consciousness. This depends, this applies to everyone. Every professional is different. Their skills are same, but their level of perfection is different. Each teacher, each doctor. So it all depends on their degree of illumination, how much they are in touch with that. And the next line says, a perfect consecration to thy law cannot but bring about modifications in the totality of circumstances. Yet it is not these which make possible and express this perfect consecration. So she says that whoever is perfectly consecrated to the law of the divine, that consecration brings about modification. It changes your life. Though, as she said earlier, it does not depend upon the circumstances, but no doubt, that perfect consecration will definitely bring a change, modify the totality of circumstances. Okay. Next prayer is 21st March, 1914. As I said that these prayers are for aspirants. And in the Vedic times, every morning, there used to be a yagna, a fire, in which things would be offered, mantras would be chanted. There was a ritual, and it was part of life. But gradually, it started getting diluted and modified. But still, most of the houses have the diya. They light the diya. Now, in integral yoga, we are asked to focus on the inner flame of aspiration. And that inner flame of aspiration has to be invoked every day. You have to invoke that inner fire. Do that every day. The more regular you are, and this inner flame gets brighter and stronger with your own offering. The more you offer, the more it burns brighter. See, we want results from our practice of yoga. But are we lighting that fire, offering into that fire that intensely every day? Yes and no. People do, some don't. And that is why in this yoga, the aim is transformation of our nature. So how will the transformation happen? Unless and until we constantly offer into the flame all our weaknesses, all our pain, our suffering, our limitations. There are so many limitations of our being, so much that we are not able to accomplish. So the offering has to be regular. There used to be a practice among the Agnihotras. The light, that sacrificial place was never extinguished. 24/7, every time something was offered. Now, those were beautiful symbols. And the symbols not only give us inspiration, but they give us power also. So symbols are important in its own way. But over here, our task, the aspirants of integral yoga, becomes a little more difficult because we can have the outward symbols and the ritual, but we cannot do away without the inner offering. And so these prayers of the mother are so helpful to us every day. It sheds more and more light about how to do integral yoga. We have so many writings. We have Savitri, we have the Life Divine, we have essays on the Gita, we have the Synthesis of Yoga, and many more books. At par with them, I've always found the mother's prayers and meditations also to be one of the very important texts that shows practically and how relentlessly the Divine Mother has written these prayers for us. She has identified with the earth consciousness and she has written these prayers. She herself was the Supreme Mahashakti, Aditi. She, in her supreme status, did not require this process, but she assumed the human body, became our human divine mother, and these prayers are helping us. And so every morning, this prayer I'm starting, March 21st, 1914. Every morning, my aspiration rises ardently to thee, and in the silence of my satisfied heart, I ask that thy law of love may be expressed, that thy will may manifest. And in anticipation, I adhere with joy and serenity to those circumstances which will express this law and this will. So every morning, what we should ask, this mother has given us. Every morning, we think, we plan what work I shall do. Females, what breakfast I should make, or what work in the office I have to do, what cleaning I have to do. Yes, all that is there. But for the inner fire, we ask the mother, how may I serve you today? What may I do for thee today? And how can I express thy law of love? That's what she says. Now for us, the sentence seems so simple. How do you express the divine's love every day? Well, from the psychological point, I would say that you can express the love by feeling the love yourself first, by feeling the love of the divine within yourself. Then whosoever comes into contact with you, you spread that. And that divine love spreads like a perfume. You do not have to spray the perfume on people around you. You are full of that perfume, and that perfume spreads automatically. This law of love can be expressed by being generous, not in material things. Generosity in understanding and accepting the limitations of people around us, to give them a little wider space by not being narrow in our thinking. So there are various ways. And as I said earlier, the more you concentrate on anything, it will reveal its quality to you. You concentrate, you try. Concentration is a great power. Sri Aurobindo has written in the Synthesis of Yoga that you can take up a task and concentrate on any one aspect that you want to develop in yourself. For example, you want to transform your weakness, your vital weakness, into strength. You concentrate on the strength. You concentrate on the Shakti aspect. If you want to have knowledge, you concentrate on the knowledge aspect. All can be done together. They can be done exclusively also. So the more you want to understand the divine and serve the divine, you concentrate on the divine. Whatever you concentrate on, put your focus on, that you will become. So the next paragraph, Mother writes, oh, why be restless and want that for oneself? Things should turn out in one way and not another. Why decide that a particular set of circumstances will be the expression of the best possibilities, and then launch into a bitter struggle so that these possibilities may be realized? Why not use all one's energy solely to will in the calm of inner confidence that thy law may triumph everywhere and always over all difficulties, all darkness, all egoism? So this is so simple. The mother says that we just think that if this happens to me, it'll be the best for me. If I get this promotion, I'll be happy. Or if I shift, migrate to US or any other country, that will be the best for me. If I marry this person, that will be the best for me. If I buy a house, this place, it will be best for me. There are a number of things that we think, we feel could be best for us. And then she says that we just launch into a bitter struggle to achieve all that. So she says, why be restless? Why think that the circumstances should turn this way and not that way? Rather, we should use all our energy to will in the calm of inner confidence. You see, Mother's and Sri Aurobindo's writings, when you pause at every sentence, every word, it opens up new things. If you just read it faster, the calm of inner confidence, well, we don't understand much. But over she says, to will in the calm of inner confidence. Now it has to be lived to experience, and to will in the calm of inner confidence. That can be done when our faith is integral, our faith is 100%. And that calm comes from faith. When you have absolute faith, you are absolutely calm. And that is what we have to do, that may thy law triumph everywhere and always. And she says, how the horizon widens. Next slide. How the horizon widens as soon as one learns to take this attitude. How all anxiety vanishes giving place to a constant illumination, to the omnipotence of disinterestedness. Again, this word has come. It has given me a lot of ideas that such a potent word, so strong, that once you have that inner confidence, the calm, the faith, your horizon widens. You're no longer in the narrow inner spaces of your mind, your ego, your anxiety, your restlessness, your stress, your desires, everything that just widens. The full sunshine, no clouds. And this constant illumination, and again, the word omnipotence. What does it mean, omnipotence? All powerful. Sarva Shaktiman, Sarva Shaktishali, that we can say in Hindi. To the omnipotence of disinterestedness. See how powerful we become once we adopt the attitude of disinterestedness, and how weak we become once we get involved personally in everything. Our ego involves. There's so much power in being disinterested. In Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna says that I'm also constantly engaged in works. There is not even a moment where I'm not working. I'm not pravritta in karma. I am constantly pravritta in karma. But I'm not attached to the karma. And Arjun could only fight when he too adopted this disinterestedness. That I'm not fighting for my benefit to become king. And I'm not ambitious to kill my relatives, my uncles, my elders, my gurus. It's not for me that I'm doing. When he was personally involved, he became absolutely weak and he couldn't even lift the Dhanush. But when Sri Krishna explained that this is not your war, this Mahabharata is my war. I am here to establish Dharma and you are my instrument. So as an instrument, do it. Because if you fail to do it, I will put some other instrument. So taking the lessons from Mahabharata, from Arjun, we can also reflect that all the tasks that we are doing are not ours, none of ours personally. But we have to do it as the work designed for us. We are nimittas. We are put. We are put in charge as father, as mother, as a manager, as a doctor, whatever. We are put in charge. None of it is our work. And once you adopt this attitude of disinterestedness, you will also experience the omnipotence of disinterestedness, the power of disinterestedness. And what do we need more in life than a constant strength, a constant illumination, a constant guidance, and a constant joy? Because then you are indifferent to the loss and profit, indifferent to the joy and sorrow, indifferent to the success or failure of that work. That is decided by the Supreme Lord. We are not there to decide. Let us do it in the best way possible. And every work that we do shows us. Okay, a few lines from March 23rd, 1914. March 23, 1914. As I see it, the ideal state is that in which, constantly conscious with thy consciousness, one knows at every moment, spontaneously, without any reflection being necessary, exactly what should be done to best express thy law. So when we are in touch, when we are in constant communion, we know spontaneously what to do. That state I know, the mother says, for I have experienced it at certain moments. But very often the knowledge of the how is veiled by a mist of ignorance. And one must call in reflection, which is not always a good counselor, let alone all that one does at every instant without having any time for reflection on the spur of the moment. Now, the very pertinent question, Mother says, how far does it conform with or oppose thy law? That depends upon the state of the subconscious, on what is active in it at that time. Okay, I'll pause here. So, one prayer of the mother is that when I am constantly in touch with thy consciousness, I know what to do. But she also says that I don't know how to do. What to do is clear, spontaneous. But how to do, the method, the process, the way is not clear. So she says that how do we know that we are doing what you want us to do? How do we know that we are following the law? So human beings are governed by the various state of consciousness. And one of the state of consciousness, in one of the states, we are dominated and influenced by our subconscious, the subconscious mind. So she says that whatever is active in the subconscious at that moment comes into play. And because of that, perfectly, we are not able to reflect the law of the divine. So whatever is active at that time in the subconscious mind. Now, to give you a few examples so that you would know how the subconscious works. Now, the subconscious is a storehouse of all our past. It has positive memories, it has negative memories, it has got memories of emotional trauma, it has memories of physical trauma, and all the failures while growing up. Some could be good memories of the childhood, some could be mixed. Now, so from the subconscious, something or the other keeps on churning and coming up on the surface. Also, we are still governed by a lot of prejudices, lot of, fixed impressions about people and circumstances and so many things. So it may happen that when you're trying to do something good, when you are wanting to do some work, it could, you want to do it well, whatever, you're cooking or you're gardening or you're teaching. But if something from the subconscious is dominant at that moment, it may come and influence your action that time. And so that may not make you perfectly able to conform to the law of the divine. So here again, more and more inner reflection, more and more gaining purity, that will help us to be conscious of all that comes. Just as we are, using social media, WhatsApp, Instagram, this, that, Facebook, we get so many notifications. Some of the notifications we open up and some we just delete it. So when you are conscious, when you're fully conscious of your personality, just and in the prayer of the 1st March, the mother says that, Lord, let me be aware of all that constitutes this personality. So when you're aware of this personality, you know that, oh, some anger has risen up, some jealousy has risen up, some sadness have come, something from the past has come which is not making me feel good. And when you are conscious, you offer it to the inner flame. And immediately you will be free from it. You'll get rid of it. And the flame will burn brighter. So One has to constantly keep on trying so that the next sentence says, once the deed is done, if it has any importance, if one can look at it, analyze it, understand it, it serves as a lesson, enables one to become aware of one's motive of action, and hence of something in the subconscious which still governs the being and has to be mastered. When you're doing something and you've prayed in the morning that I want to be peaceful, I want to live in harmony. But if you're talking to somebody, maybe your junior at work or your servant in the house or somebody on the road, anywhere, and suddenly you get irritated, you get angry. So after that is over, you can sit and reflect. What happened? Why did I speak like that? Why did I behave like that? And then you're able to know, oh, my anger is still governing me. My jealousy is still influencing me. My prejudices are still very much effective. And this I must work on. So when people say, what work we have to do for the divine? How can we serve the divine? The first and foremost thing that comes in my mind based on integral yoga teachings is that work on yourself, constantly work on yourself, work to purify, liberate, and perfect yourself. There's a prayer to the mother which says, liberate me, perfect me, illumine me with thy presence, envelop me with thy love. So this is the only and only work that is important, whether you do other work or not. You continue to do the outer work. Never that should stop. But if your focus shifts from the inner to the outer only, then you will be there only. You will not be moving forward. I think our time is up and I still have two prayers, but I will just take the last one, which pertains to physical health. But I think I will just mention the date of that prayer. I will not be reading it. It's about when you are having difficulty in the body. If there is any pain in the body, the prayer is 17th March 1914. Please note it down and you read it at your leisure. It's not difficult. I will just end by the prayer of 20th February, this talk, so that we all collectively aspire. So 17th March 1914, please read it on your own. And now I'm reading February 20th, 1914. And after that, we'll remain quiet for some time. The only thing that is important, the one thing that counts, is the will to be identified more and more completely with thee, to unite our consciousness with thy absolute consciousness, to be more and more the peaceful, calm, disinterested, strong servitor of thy sovereign law, thy loving will. O Lord, give me the peace of perfect disinterestedness, the peace which makes thy presence effective, thy intervention efficacious, the peace ever triumphant over all bad will, all obscurity. Lord, very humbly I pray to thee that I may be equal to my task, that nothing in me, conscious or unconscious, may betray thee by neglecting to serve thy sacred mission. In a silent devotion, I bow to.